The Rap Roundtable.
Is this what y'all wanted to hear at the Super Bowl? that y'all was caping for? That y'all was for? Y'all said he was done wrong. Y'all said he got the records, etc., etc. This is what y'all wanted at the Super Bowl? I don't think so. I don't think Sincere thinks so. I don't think Macito thinks so, but we'll see.
You don't know me. You don't know me.
I mean, the OVO YMCMB guy might have a different angle, but nevertheless, it's the Rap Roundtable. It's your boy Jarvis alongside us in the Rap Snob alongside Macito. No Dini for this episode. He's not a Wayne fan. He just has other things to deal with, and we got to respect that. Anyway, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe option. Hit the notification button after you subscribe. We need 500 likes on each and every video. Run the likes up. Don't just pull up in here and not hit the like. You know what I mean? Hit the like button. It is the freest thing you could do. We appreciate the super chats. So all super chats are welcome. I'm contemplating, wondering if I want to hear from y'all tonight with the supers. If y'all throw a little $5 piece, y'all can get on here with us. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. But definitely hit the like button. It's free AF. Lock in with that. You know what I mean? Episode 125 drops this Wednesday as well. So be on the lookout for that. It's a strong week for the Rap Roundtable. Hilarious episode on the way. But again, I asked the question, is this what y'all wanted to hear at the Super Bowl? My answer is no. Macito, come to the front of the class.
I'm here.
You going first tonight.
You going to Mace first?
He don't get to hide behind Sin. You don't get to stand in the corner and set the screen and be the dummy roll guy on the weak side. You are at the top of the key.
I was ready to go, but I knew the ball was going. I knew the ball was going to Mace. I knew the ball was going to Mace.
It's not even me. I threw the community posts up, and most of the comments said they want to hear from OVO Mace.
Of course.
So we got to give the people what they want.
That's a fact.
To the front of the class, Mace. What the fuck was that album? The Carter 6.
Joe, that was an abomination. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. It's been a rough weekend for your boy. You know what I mean? It's overall in general.
Weekend? Just the weekend?
Yeah, just the weekend. Dropped on Friday, Sin. Dropped on Friday. Like the reigning thought that I have come to at the end of this weekend, and it's been much easier to be a Young Money OVO fan in my 20s than it's been in my 30s, bro. Listen, what can you say? A resounding fucking disgust from hip hop fans, even Lil Wayne fans. It's been really hard. How many ways can I pan this album? I remember on Friday after we got together as the crew, Sin asking me like, is it really that bad? And I was like, yeah, it really is that fucking bad, bro. Like, listen, Jav, you started off with the Super Bowl mess. Let's just get that out of the way, right? Wayne is showing that, I guess, if we are going to go in a contemporary way, then there was no reason any of this music was Super Bowl worthy, right? But it's not only that, because we know a lot of people are going to say, well, wait a minute. It's not, you don't have to necessarily do your new songs at the Super Bowl. But when you listen to this album, it's akin to coming back to your old neighborhood 10 years later after you're making six figures, the wife and kids, and you say, let me bring my kids to the block. And that same fiend is at that same liquor store in front of the block. That's the vibes Wayne was giving me on in this album, bro. And it hurt. It hurt because, as the fellas know, Wayne is like probably pound for pound my favorite rapper ever. Drake sings too much. Eminem is white. 50 Cent had one good album. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Lil Wayne is like this is my GOAT. You know what I mean? Living. You know what I mean? God rest Tupac. But so this was hard to listen to on multiple levels. Bad music, right? But let's get that out of the way. Carter 6 is bad music. It left most people wondering who the fuck is around Lil Wayne. Is Lil Wayne either not listening to his people, or is he listening too much to his people? There has to be something. It don't have no flavor from classic CMB Wayne, YMCMB Wayne, Rockstar Rebirth Wayne, Dedication to Wayne. There's barely any traces of that on any of this, right? And I didn't even comment on this record throughout the weekend, right? Because I didn't want to be part of the group jumping that Lil Wayne was getting. But I have to be realistic, folks, right? That's why y'all come to the Rap Roundtable. Y'all didn't want me to come up here fronting, you know what I mean? That's what the 83 weeks were for. But now we got to be realistic. So just like I said, the music is some of the worst music Wayne's released in years. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, Wayne's been like this for 10 years plus. Wayne is loosely kind of released albums. We've gotten, let's not lie, we've gotten potent verses from Wayne on Nas projects. There was a couple. Cordae had a crazy Wayne verse. Wayne has, the Benny verse, the Big Dog. People fuck with that. So it's not like, people were anticipating this, thinking Wayne had something. And musically, is no direction. The production is very all over the place, right? I'm now reading after it. I didn't hear about this before the album dropped, but now I'm reading that Wyclef was, like the executive producer in this one. So, Sin had the line over the weekend. This is 2 times that Wyclef has fucked the bag up, bro.
Over 25 years of fucking up albums, bro. Why y'all still giving him this job?
Listen, I never thought Wayne and cannabis would be in the same sentence, but here we are, right? So that's it, right? And even the bars, because like a lot of us Lil Wayne fans, we come to it straight for the lyricism, the technique, the punchlines, the off the wall perspective, and there's none of that, bro. I gotta be honest. Like his voice sounds weathered, the flow isn't as sharp. The punches are repeated over and over. How many times did y'all hear the 666 line in this album, y'all? I counted like 4 times that he made that he used that same punch. So it's like topically, can anybody tell me what any of these songs are about? Like, what are the topics? Where was the direction in this? It just feels like a tape that seems like a bunch of loose Lil Wayne tracks that somebody had, waiting together, and the executive producer decided to put together the best records. That's what he said, right? They created 30 records. These were the 19 best ones. This ain't it. And me, for one, being a Wayne fan that I am, I feel like this is like a dark mark on the Carter series. This is a classic series. You know what I mean? This is Wayne. This is not only Wayne's most classic series. This may be the most classic series in all of hip hop, depending on who you ask. So it's tough, listening to this, and I want y'all to know, like, I didn't listen to this shit at 12. I seen all of the opinions everywhere and everybody talking crazy, this, that, and the third. I didn't listen to it at 12. I didn't want to be seeing everyone's opinion and then listen directly after. But when I finally got to this record, I mean, there's some all-time stinkers on here, bro. Peanuts to an Elephant with the elephant fucking sample on there. What is it? The Island Vacation shit. Like, it seems like Wayne is very much stuck in the timeline of when he was his most famous. This isn't stylistically or artistically that much past what he was doing in his prime. So it doesn't seem like he's grown very much past that, at least in what he's thinking about. But he no longer has the tools, to put that to use, right? So the punches ain't as hard, the flow ain't as good. You know what I mean? Even Wayne back in the day, every now and then he would give you like a song with a specific topic. Georgia Bush on Dedication to Anyone. This is like, one of his all-time tracks. There's no trace of that on this album, bro. It's all over the place, topically, stylistically, but in a way that you kind of throw your trash in the corner. You know what I mean? Not an organized madness like Wayne was capable of at one point. I'm extremely disappointed.
Sincere the Rap Snob, the floor is yours, good brother.
Listen, man, getting straight to it. This album is garbage, like hot garbage, like a landfill full of garbage. Like, it is utterly trash. And I don't want to pile up too much, you know what I mean? Because, like, though I'm not a Wayne fan, like, you know what I mean, the Twitter spaces and everybody on the internet has been piling on him over the entire weekend. So I don't want to like just keep regurgitating what other people are saying, but what everybody's saying is pretty accurate. You know what I mean? Like, this is a terrible, like objectively terrible album. And there's people out there, specifically one Brian B. Dot, who's putting the cape on and shooting some bail, saying it's not that bad. It really is that bad. Now, here's the thing about this album, right? I cut it on, and the intro, like we could just skip past that. Like that was like that intro was not necessary at all, right? But whatever. We get to the second track, which is the official first song, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, okay, you know what? This is not that bad. And I get to the second song, and I'm like, okay, it's not great, but it's not terrible either. And I've listened to the first few songs, and I'm like, oh, maybe B Dot had a point. Maybe people are being too harsh. You know what I mean? But that only lasted for like a handful of songs, because once it gets past that song with Jelly Roll and Big Sean, which is not great, but I don't think it's terrible. Out of all of the songs, I think that's the one that's most salvageable for like playing on the radio or it charting, becoming a hit. You know what I mean? But once you get past that song, putrid, absolute hogwash, horseshit, like just straight all through from like 6 to 19 straight. There's nothing salvageable about the rest of this album. You know what I mean? This is not slander. This is not hyperbole. These are literally some of the worst songs I've ever heard. The Days with Bono sounds like something I would have heard in 2006 and turned off in 2006 immediately. Cotton Candy, that beat sounds like it was like somebody made it on Apple Loops. Just took Apple Loops, dragged them into a beat, voila, handed to Wayne. Island Holiday is where I almost cut it off. I literally texted you guys today about this. You know what I mean? Because I was putting off listening to this album till today when I absolutely had to. So I'm listening to Island Holiday, and I'm literally laughing out loud. I was walking in the street because I was like, maybe walking through the street, I'll get more into the vibe of some of these songs on this album. No. Like I'm sure
that was the
people
song, Sen. That was the song, real quick. That was the song that made me feel like I didn't want to come in this Monday.
But because I'm walking down the street and I'm like literally laughing out loud. And I'm sure people were looking at me like, what? This guy's crazy. Like, what is he laughing at? He's just laughing at himself. That's how bad this song was. Like, it's laughable. And I thought that was as bad as it was gonna get. And then immediately followed up by Loki's theme, which if we're talking about relatively speaking, the first sort of half of it was salvageable. It wasn't so bad. But then it switches over into this entire rock beat. Horseshit. Get that shit the fuck out of here. And then follow that up with If I Played Guitar. This has to be like the worst 3-song run I've ever heard in my life on any album. Right? And then I thought, okay, how much worse can this get? And lo and behold, the creme de la creme of bullshit on this album, Peanuts to an Elephant. I don't know who told Wayne that this was a fire beat to put on his album to make a song to. Produced by none other than Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm going to need Immortal Technique to stuff him in like 3 more trash cans after making this goddamn beat. Get that shit the fuck out of here. That song was horrendous. And I could go on and on because like there was another 5 or 6 songs afterwards. There's no need to. This is one of the worst albums I've ever heard. No hyperbole, no slander. This is just pure ass, pure unadulterated, organic ass. 100%.
You're saying we got to put this album in the compost?
Throw it out, man. Burn it up.
You know what? Here's the thing that stood out to me. Super Bowl jokes aside, let's be serious now. Pardon me. This is one of the first albums in a long time that the internet has universally panned. You know what I'm saying? Normally, we'll get on here and it's an album that's either dope, and then there's another large segment of fans that are like, oh, you overrated it, whatever, or vice versa. We're panning it, and there's a group of people saying, oh, come on, guys, it wasn't that bad. Right now, I would say without the exception of maybe a B Dot and people of that ilk, or the really staunch, completely biased, I should say, Wayne fans. Those are the only people who are throwing bail to this album. This is the first album in a long, I would say maybe 2 or 3 years that there is no like mini communities trying to shoot bail. Like hip hop, whether you're on the Drake side, the Kendrick side, the Jay side, the Nas side, the Griselda side, the poppiest of pop, fucking Flow Rider side, everyone is universally panning this album. It's so bad that if you go and you scroll, and all the people who are popular opinion, have you seen an Elliot Wilson tweet about this? Have you seen any real notable voice talking about it in front of a camera or tweeting about it? I don't even see Rob Markman trying to like get in front of the camera and drop. Rob was too busy talking about Timbaland. He didn't even want to touch the Wayne album. Motherfucking Curtis King is on right now. He's talking about Timbaland. I don't know if he talked about the Wayne album, but a lot of people right now was strategically like, you know what? This album is so bad. Do I want to put the Timbalands on and drop from the top row? LP said the Company Man destroyed Wayne. Shout out Company Man. You know what I'm saying? I just see the situation. I'm like, it's so bad. And Wayne is such a legend. Call it what it is. Such a legend that I think people almost don't want to stop this album because it's Wayne. Wayne for some reason is like one of the few artists that hip hop, a certain era of hip hop, not the 45 and 50-year-old niggas, but like my age, the 40 crowd and down, a lot of hip hop try to not violate too crazy with Wayne. I don't know. Wayne is such a likable guy universally. He's not polarizing like a lot of the top elite niggas of all time. Wayne is very lovable. And that lovability makes it so that people actually feel bad saying Wayne is not that good or Wayne is trash or whatever the fuck. Because in a lot of ways, not to say he's as good as Kobe, usually is. He is very Kobe-esque in that we watched Wayne grow up. Wayne was a child when we were first introduced to him. Hot Boy era, late 90s, early aughts. And we watched his whole life. So the love that we might have for Wayne as a person supersedes Wayne as an artist. A lot of times when we got introduced to artists, they were already adults. Hov was like in his early 20s. Big was maybe late teens, early 20s. Same thing for Nas. Then Nas was 17, 18 and shit. But even then, it was like we didn't know for sure, because Nas and Wayne was like this big. You know what I mean? He was a kid running around with men. We love Wayne. Wayne was almost like a tier above as far as age demos than like Wayne and fucking Lil Romeo and them niggas. Not Wayne, Bow Wow, pardon me. So it's like, I can understand the grace people want to give. But this album is a 3-pack of ass. We got to increase the packaging. This is the BJ's pack or the Costco pack of ass. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a membership to buy this shit. You know what I mean? And the issue that I have with it, because Sin talked about some songs. I like Cotton Candy. But you could tell that was a 2 Chainz home game. The beat was a 2 Chainz beat, right? I do like Sharks. Like the Sonics on Sharks. Big Sean did what he needed to do. Whatever. But Banned from NO,
Keep it.
You know what I mean?
Keep it. Unnecessary.
But the problem that I have is when we get to like I play guitars, Peanut the Elephant, Maria with Wyclef, etc.,
Maria.
is that
Jesus.
I'm not saying that, you know, it's not the late arts or the mid arts where it's like albums have to be extremely tight. We are in the playlist era. And with that, I understand what that comes with. But this album was so all over the place. There was no connective tissue. And then you have 3 or 4 minute songs with no connective tissue. Like we are like, maybe Macy, okay, let me know. But I like even Lil Wayne at his most chaotic albums felt like they had things that tied everything together. This album is all over the place. Like Alone in My Studio with my gun don't feel like written history that comes right behind it. Maria and fucking Peanuts and Elephants is like Rowry's in between the two, but it's like all over the place. Like, where are we going with this album? Like, what is the point of the project, Wayne? And then you singing, and it's like Mace made the point about going back to the block and seeing the same thing you saw all them years ago. That's not a good thing for now. Lil Wayne, he's in his legacy artist era, I'd say. He's been around long enough. Like we're not grading Lil Wayne on the young active rapper scale that like a BX the Plug or some of these other guys. He's a legacy act now. And to be a legacy act and you're just here, you just do 19 songs together. Are these the 19 best songs you could come up with? The last point I'll leave this with before I pass it to Macito again is this is one of the few times that the liner notes not being readily accessible is a blessing. Because do you want to be the A&R responsible for this shit? Who's the executive producer? Do you want to be responsible for this shit?
I mean, everybody already spread the. I think you had set the way when Mason and I were talking about it. Like Wyclef, everybody's already spread the word that Wyclef
was the executive
putting this album together.
Which makes a lot of sense, right? Because what type is Wyclef tapped into the game? You know what I'm saying? When's the last time Wyclef knew what the fuck was going on? So it makes a lot of sense. Y'all mentioned
why is he? You know what? I don't want to be disrespectful. I really don't. I'm trying my best.
Our apologies to Sharon out there. You know what I mean? We love you, Sharon, but
right. But when it comes to Clef has been ruining albums for at least 15 years. And I might be cutting it short with 15 because this is 2025. So I'm gonna say 20 years. I'm gonna say 20 years. Little, like, you know what it is? Like, Wyclef is one of the most respected men in hip hop.
Men. Musician. He's a great musician.
Right.
But when it comes to making like rap, his name has not been good money when it comes to quality music in rap. The R&B shit, we know he good for that. Like, he could get in that bag. But the rap, as soon as, like, Wyclef, who thought this was a good idea? Wyclef is one of them niggas when it comes to rap that be really overthinking in the studio, thinking, oh, we gonna do some different shit. And it just be trash, my nigga. Like, who signed off on this? Who got next to Wayne and said, yo, why? You know what you need? Wyclef.
Who has Wayne's power of attorney at this point? Somebody know? Like, we need to figure it out. And that's the thing, right? Because Wayne, just like you say, there's been, if you're a Carter series fan, there's certain things that you love about it, right? From the Carter 2 and the Carter 4, where you had, the Jay-Z style 3 beats over the same songs, basically like one song over the whole album. You know what I mean? With Fly In and Fly Out in the joint on Carter 4, where he had Bun B and Nas and Andre 3000. Like, there's certain things that attach you to Carter albums, right? A huge Cash Money / YMCMB presence, right? No Birdman. Manny Fresh, they threw on at the end. I feel like that was just, they just happened to be in the same city that day. You know what I mean? Is Tez around? Is Mac Main around? There's no Drake. There's no Nicki. There's not even any fucking Tyga. So it's like, for people who have a personal attachment to this series, there's nothing that, like, if you listen to this, there's nothing that makes you remember the other one. This is almost like a standalone within the series. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tough. It's tough. And like y'all said, like, there's no, and I get it. Wayne is one of those guys where you aren't necessarily looking for a super focused artistic direction, a la Kendrick or Kanye. You know what I mean? The randomness of his style and in the way he does things is almost what made him popular. But this is just in a horrible way. You know what I mean? Like repeated rhymes. You know what I mean? Beats that sound like you bought them off of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, this seems like somebody, and I don't want to, I ain't trying to go there. But listen, we seen Lil Wayne barely remembering shit for the past 10, 15 years. This sounds like an album where people was around him and they just took advantage. They just wanted a payday. This don't seem like anything that Wayne would have put out, bro. It's bad. It's really bad.
And you know what? I'll say to that. This speaks to that whole argument when Wayne says he don't know what's going on and he don't, like, that happened? Really? Surprise, surprise. Now I'm starting to believe this nigga. Because, like, this, you know what? We're not saying that you're supposed to bite nobody's sound. But it's like, this album don't sound like nothing. It don't sound like and as far as where rap is right now, and the fact that, we are getting to a place where the taste of the rap fan, they're looking for a certain kind of hit. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for a certain fix. And you didn't deliver on any of it. We're not saying you got to make a Kenny album or a fucking Griselda album or the hardest New Orleans album you could possibly make. But it's like, where are you? Like, this album seems like he's lost in the wilderness. Like, he's just floating around without a fucking flashlight, and whatever he land on. Like, this album is terrible. And to say I'm coming to you now, because I saw on the internet, or was it you? I don't know. I saw something about AI samples.
Oh, I don't even know. But I think I might have seen like one tweet about it, and I kind of ignored it. But I haven't heard too much about it. But is that the word that there was like AI samples on this album?
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Look, I'm sorry, Mace, but I'm gonna have to go all the way in. Pause. Wayne, I've seen so much conversation about Wayne recently. I've seen people come to his defense because at this point, people are saying, you know what I mean? Like he's ruining his legacy. Like he shouldn't be in Go Talks anymore. Like this is too many whack albums at this point. You know what I mean? And people coming to his defense, like, no, like he's still a legend. Like, okay, sure, he's still a legend. But I'm on the side that believes like we shouldn't be talking about him like one of the goats anymore. You know what I mean? Maybe a personal goat, sure. But there's just something about him, and we've talked about this in the past. It's not just him. I feel like it's the entire Young Money. There's like a certain type of Kool-Aid that they was drinking over there, but like that's not what this conversation is about. So I'm gonna keep it to Wayne. But like, there's a certain like shallowness in artistry to Wayne, where like he just didn't mature past what everybody seems to have loved him for when he had his major run, which is flow and dope similes and metaphors. You know what I mean? But it's been like 20 years now, and he keeps going back to that same approach. He's still approaching music and he's still approaching the game in the same way. Like, I'm gonna just grab whatever beat and I'm gonna just get over on my flow and my ability to pull off a simile and a metaphor. And people are gonna love that. They've always loved that. But it's been like 20 years of that at this point. Like Carter 3 was 2008. So it's been like, a little over 15 years. And at this point, and I've seen this quite a bit on Twitter, his fans, the fans that grew up with him, they're now older. They're men. They've matured. And I've seen people say, like maturing is realizing that Wayne's music, Wayne's bars, his metaphors, like all that, it doesn't hit the same because he keeps going. It's like that one. It's like that one ball player that just has that one shot. He keeps going back to that one shot. You know what I mean? Like top of the key turnaround. And now everybody's learned how to defend that shot, but he keeps going to that one shot. He don't got no other shot to go to. He don't got no other bag to dig in. And that's what Wayne is, man. Like every other GOAT that we talk about, there's so many different bags that they can dig into. You know what I mean? So many different flows, different subject matters, stories. They mature along with, their age and their music and their fans. Like they all grow together. You know what I mean? They all grow older together and mature together. Wayne has just been in his own bubble this entire time. And you know what I mean? Like, and I guess it was fine when the music that he made was in vogue, you know what I mean? When it was the shit to do. And when he had people on his team that were able to like point him in the right direction, even if he tried to put out some bullshit, he was like, no, all right, the bars is dope, but that beat is trash. Let's use another beat. I don't think he has nobody like that. It's just him fending for himself, and he's just stuck in that age and that era. And to me, that's not what a GOAT does. You know what I mean? You look at Hov, you look at Nas, you look at Kenny, you look at, you know what I mean? Countless other GOATs, even, Kanye. Kanye fell off crazy, but like you saw him mature, his music maturing. Wayne's music ain't never matured a day in its life. You know what I mean? And that's where we're at. That's where he's stuck in that time warp.
Mesito, I'd like to hear your response to that.
Listen, Sin is making a lot of points. There's different things to take away from it, right? As far as with Wayne specifically, Wayne, I think it's kind of revealing, not what I get what, not necessarily he was never good the whole time type of shit. I feel like that's a bit of an overreaction to be honest with you. You know what I mean? A lot of people, like, you can't take away what happened. You know what I'm saying? It happened. He was who he was. But you know what I feel like I'm witnessing is I've compared him for a long time to Allen Iverson, right? Scored a lot of points, but definitely put up a lot of shots to put up those points. His highs were crossing over Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he grew up. There was a generation influenced by him, not only by what he did in the music, but his style as well. But he's also, you know, I'm finding myself finding that maybe he needed a Larry Brown the whole time. That's one thing about AI, right? He made his finals run. He got his MVP, but it was one season, and he needed the exact right coach and the exact right team built around him in order to achieve what he achieved. And that's what I'm kind of seeing with Wayne, right? It's obvious that he had a super great team around him, right? Because Wayne is a rhyming animal, right? Wayne to get in the studio and rap about whatever. But it seems like he severely lacks a team right now. There's not people that have quality control. There's people in the studio that are in awe of him and not there to keep it real with him, right? People that are familiar with him. And to me, that's because at the end of the day, we have in the last, 4 or 5 years, we have heard great Wayne verses, right? I will give him that credit. But, as far as this complete overall body of work, is, he needed about 5 or 6 other people in the room for it. You know what I mean? Now, with the whole, it's the elephant in the room, right? So I'm not going to ignore it that, Young Money is all kind of suffering from what Sin said, right? Like that, Drake kind of is being threatened, like you need to mature. That was the whole thing, right? The maturity and culture part of the argument might have lost him the battle. Nicki has been going through her own problems, right? Where you know what I mean? If there was a true competitor, maybe Nicki would be knocked off the perch, right? So yeah, like, it's tough to listen to. I don't want to say that Wayne can't put out a good body of work, but it very much seems like he needs to be dropping EPs or just verses at this point. Because number one, he doesn't, above all, if you're listening to it, he doesn't seem in shape for this, right? You listen to a Jadakiss right now, he sounds in shape, bro. You know what I'm saying? Listen to Nas and his run, he sound like even, you know what I mean? Like the sea moss is in abundance at his crib. You know what I'm saying? Wayne sound like somebody that's unhealthy, like somebody that ain't been taking care of himself, like somebody that, say what you say, that Pusha said will have to keep touring until he retires, right? You know what I mean? I know that might come up later, but that's what it seems like for Wayne for me. It just seems like health-wise, he ain't there, and team-wise, he ain't there. Like, it's nasty.
All right. So, I think the reality is, and this is the question that needs to be, posed. Has Lil Wayne, in fact, been overrated for quite a few years now? We just are now waking up because the taste of hip-hop has finally caught up to the good shit again? That's the question.
That's a loaded ass question by the way that you worded it.
Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Has Lil Wayne been overrated for maybe over a decade now? There was a tweet from DJ Green Villain. I think Sin threw it in the group chat. Somebody threw it in the fucking group chat. It says the Carter 4, 5, and 6. Dedication 4, 5, and 6. Rebirth. I'm Not a Human Being 1 and 2. Funeral. Sorry for the Wait 2. No Ceilings 2. All dirt. Y'all been lying about y'all GOAT for over a decade now. That's a loaded tweet. And you know what? I'm gonna name these again. The Carter 4, 5, and 6. Dedication 4, 5, and 6. Rebirth. I'm Not a Human Being 1 and 2. Funeral, Sorry for the Wait 2, No Ceilings 2. All of these are ass. There's not a good project. Matter of fact, so that's 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. That's 12 projects.
It's a lot
and
of numbers,
they all trash.
A lot of math.
And the thing is, I laid the foundation earlier in this pod when I asked the question, is it a situation where because people love Wayne the person, that they are not willing to say that, in fact, with the exception of the mixtape Weezy run that led into the Carter 3, that led into the YMCMB dynasty, because it was a dynasty. Wayne, Nicki, Fuck, even the Birdman era with fucking Rich Homie, rest in peace, and Young Thug, all of that wave of Cash Money, that was a dynasty. Say what you want, right? But 12 consecutive misses? Hell yeah. Wayne has been overrated for so long. And the thing is now, because rap is in a place now where we are now. And the thing is, matter of fact, I'm going to put it on wax. Sin might have said it in the years past, but we didn't have a podcast years ago. Shit, he might have said it on the pod, but we got more eyeballs now. Lil Wayne thrived in one of the worst eras of lyrical content. Y'all niggas was impressed with so much similes and metaphors when I vividly remember in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, in the lyrical sphere of rap, we had moved on from like metaphors. I remember that. And I used to get mad because I'm like, yo, when did we go back to liking like metaphors? We had got on, we was in the entendre era, the simile era, the Philly niggas was bringing different ways to flow to the table and different types of rhyme schemes to the table. And he went back to like metaphors and you simple ass niggas was mad impressed with that shit. But I think he was able to thrive because he was the only person, and credit to Wayne, it might sound backhanded, but at least Wayne was trying to rhyme. He wasn't trying to fucking snap and wear big clothes and make goofy ass whisper music. He was rapping, and I gotta give credit where that's due. But the reality is, Wayne thrived almost like the dead ball era, the steroid era in sports, whatever you want. Right now, the 3-point era in the NBA, with some of these records, these scoring records, you got to look at it a little bit different because they're shooting more threes than ever before. He thrived in the dead, recording it in the Rap Roundtable. He thrived in the dead bar era. You know what I'm saying? It was the dead bar era. And he thrived in that shit. 12 consecutive misses. Lil Wayne has benefited from having a staunch fan base. Niggas willing to put their body as a human shield in front of him when he's never been as great as I said he was. And 12 consecutive misses speaks to that. What you got to say to that, Roundtable? Chat, let me know.
Listen.
You want to go first, Mace?
Just a quick defense, you know what I mean? Listen, right. The 2010s were bad, bro. I ain't gonna lie, but in the 2000s, Wayne was one of the top guys. Listen, it's hard to defend somebody who just dropped, maybe the worst album of the year, right? But in his prime, Wayne was a motherfucker. We was there. You know what I mean?
I didn't think it was gas in real time. You know that, Mace.
That's a fact. That's the OG Jaws and Mace debates right there. You know what I mean? To be honest, but you can't. If James Harden, tries a fucking triple step back in 2045, they're gonna be saying that's an old ass move, You know what I mean? I feel like that's what Wayne got going on right now. The moves and what he was doing back then, they did what they were supposed to do, right? Because it's not only what you said. I saw Mark Oliver mention in the comments that he also went out of his way to rhyme with the best, right? He also it was refreshing in an era of what you talking about, Jaw, for somebody to come out and be like, I want to be the best rapper alive. You know what I mean? So that's also part of what also Jaw was saying, what kind of made us all like him. You know what I mean? A dude who had already blown up, a rapper, you know what I mean, who just right after Jay retired said, I want the top spot. That was a thing back then, you know what I'm saying? But listen, man, I like the Carter, these projects, I like the Carter 4, the rest of them, listen, I remember being at work, bro. I remember being at work, bro, and somebody started playing some music on the Bluetooth, and we resoundingly were like, yo, turn that shit off. Only to find out it was Funeral by Lil Wayne, you know what I mean? And so it's been bad for a while now. It has.
And shout out to LP. He quotes Pusha T, I'm the best, and he died and he lied. Pusha T told y'all back in 2006, if you the best rapper alive, and you couldn't deal with Pusha T, you was never that. Imagine Hove running from the best niggas in the world. You couldn't even do that shit. So sit a rap snob. Wayne thrived in the dead bar era.
Absolutely. No, 100%. I do in fact remember saying it on this podcast. That I believe that to be 100% accurate, and this is how I've looked at it, and this is how I still look at it. In an era where sonically, hip hop was shifting, from New York and LA down to the southern region of the country. And we've spoken at length about what the South was doing at the time. It was a lot of bounce, it was a lot of snapping, not so much with the, not so heavy on the bars, but heavy on the bounce and the good time, snap music, all that shit. And then and Wayne was a part of it. Not so much the snap music, but like he was, with the Hot Boys and Cash Money, that was a very bouncy sound. And again, not really focused on bar work. And all of a sudden, one day, Wayne decides, you know what? I'm gonna start going to New York. I'm gonna start wearing, I'm gonna start rocking the New York aesthetic, and I'm gonna start rhyming like them guys. And then all of a sudden, he brings that down south, and the fucking South loses their mind, like they've never heard this in their life. You know what I mean? And to me, as far as like bar work with metaphors and similes and punchlines and all that, we can take it back to Lord Finesse. And I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again. We can take it back to Lord Finesse. We can take it back to Big L. We could take it to Fab. We could take it to Cannabis. We could take it to why am I forgetting his name? Dude for Down with 50. Banks, Lloyd Banks. You know what I mean? We could there's so many places that we can take it to when it comes to punchlines, metaphors, similes, all that. You know what I mean? But Wayne took that style, combined it with the Southern drawl, and the entire country ate it up. You know what I mean? But we had already heard that so many times before. Those same metaphors and similes that he was kicking, like Liu Kang, man, we'd heard punchlines and similes all up and down the city, bro. So that wasn't impressive to us, but it was impressive to everybody else. You know what I mean? And to me, it's just, you know what I mean? Like where I feel like we are now, seeing the track record and the resume that he actually, in actuality, has. I think people are afraid to call it how it is because the South is always going to ride for their GOAT. And people from other regions, people like an Ebro, people that have some sort of platform, they're afraid to really call it how it is because the resume is there, the track record is there. We all see it. He's been dirt for a while long. And even when he was hot, he wasn't doing anything like that was super inventive. He was just taking the New York style and mixing it with the Southern drawl. That's literally all he was doing. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to the question, has he been overrated for a long time? Hell yeah, he's been overrated for a long time. And people need to have the courage to call it how it is and not be afraid that there might be some backlash, you know what I mean? Because anytime that anybody from any other region but the South says something about a Southern rapper, they're going to get all in their feelings. They're going to get their feelings hurt. They're going to, have their panties all in a bunch. They're going to have that little brother energy that they always have. And they're going to be like, oh, y'all always talk about the South. Like we got it on lock. Well, y'all ain't got it on lock no more. So maybe now we could start telling the truth.
Shit, talking right there. And it's like,
I'll push back just a little bit. Because just like I said, it's hard to defend. But listen, it's the thing about Wayne. I get what you're saying to a degree, but it wasn't just that, right? It wasn't just that why we liked Wayne. It was the work ethic, right? In 2006-07, there was a Wayne mixtape every week. So obviously you hear somebody over and over, you kind of eventually get to like them already. But there was the delivery, there was flair in the bars, there was charisma, there was things that he just lacks now. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, even the punches, right? The punches themselves, the punches used to be, smoke weed, talk shit like Lane Kiffin, shit that you just seen on Sports Center. You know what I mean? The day before, like punches that you hear it and you're like, oh shit. Now he's referencing shit from like 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. They're not even like new punches anymore. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like somebody that really is just at the batting cage, swinging and missing. You know what I mean? So I don't want to use this as a critique on his entire career. I know a lot of people are gonna do that. And with how bad this is, I can't blame, because he is showing a lot of what the people who've been judging him have said about him. He is kind of displaying that. But I still got to say, in his prime, it was way better than this. It was, you know what I mean? It was way better than this.
You know what? Here's the thing, and Wayne, I want to give a little grace, only because, again, it was the dead bar era, but he did try to do some shit with the bars. Because Wayne could have easily just made some poppy shit. You know what I mean? He did eventually do the "She's So Sweet, Make You Want to Look the Rapper" shit and the Mrs. Officer. But he gradually worked his way there. He came to New York. He went on an excursion. He was basically Dipset for all intents and purposes. Dipset was claiming Wayne as a member. Let's not leave out that fact. Someone in the chat had mentioned something along the lines of he came and he was out doing New York niggas. No. That's not what happened. He came to New York and he figured out the angle that he wanted to take as a rapper. He learned from New York niggas. He was in Harlem. He was with Dipset. His whole appearance changed. Again, let's reference it one more time. The reason there's a Mr. Me Too song is because Wayne was out here trying to find himself, and he was taking from everyone. Even at certain points, like sonically, and even with the way he rhymed, trying to sound like Jay-Z. You know what I mean? He was. We literally watched Wayne go on excursion to New York and find the next chapter, if you will, of his career. Because I would call that a chapter because, as Mace said, that Wayne is not even 2015 Wayne or 2025 Wayne. Like that window of 07 to like maybe 2014, that's a different person. Am I wrong in saying that, Mace?
More like 2010 even. Like post No Feelings, I think he was gone.
Okay, that's fair. Mm-hmm. So, because you're right, because as Aubrey came in, Aubrey kind of became the front man for YMCMB. So I can see that. But he came to New York, and then the niggas he was rhyming with, he had to get better. When he first got on the scene in New York City, he wasn't better than Jewels. He eventually lapped Jewels, but on entry to the Dipset window, he wasn't better than Els. He learned from Killer. He learned from niggas like Stack Bundle, rest in peace. Learned from niggas from Jim Jones. I'm pretty sure he benefited from being around a nigga like Max B. Like, he came to the towns and learned some shit and took it back to the South. So it's like, to be like, oh, he came and he outdid New York. Nah, he learned from New York. That's the part of the story that y'all in the South never want to talk about. Y'all want to tell us that he's better than everybody in New York and he was the nicest and this and that. But y'all never talk about the part where he had to come here, train, get his Jedi train. And then, oh, thank you, 88 Spencer. And of course, Macito hates when I bring it up, but tonight I'm not trying to slander. Gilly the Kid, he learned a lot. He learned a lot from Gilly. Is it like certain cadences that Carter 1, Carter 2 window? That cadence is Gilly. Me and Mace have got into it many times. But
he was wearing Gilly's chain though.
He was wearing Gilly's chain.
He was wearing Gilly's chain, bro.
Like, so it's like when y'all in the South always want y'all flowers and y'all want to poo-poo our niggas, but the history is what it is. If you like 27 or some shit, nigga, you wasn't even allowed to hold the remote control. Shut the fuck up. You're not part of this conversation. You know what I'm saying? But for the niggas who seen the shit from day one, for a person like myself who's old enough to remember when I first saw Lil Wayne with Cash Money, seen the sonical shift from 400 degrees to Carter 1, y'all can't tell me something don't smell funny. His whole his whole everything changed. 400 degrees and Carter 1 is two different rappers, my nigga. Matter of fact, New York should claim everything from Carter 1 through Carter 3. Because everything to 400 degrees is the South. Carter 1 through 3 is ours, nigga. Because he was in New York. He sort of his cadence changed. You know what I mean? His ball work changed. The way he dressed changed. What we talking about?
Slang. So, nigga was saying slang.
And I don't want to have to say this again because I've said it before, but fuck it for the new
part
viewers.
Part of 500 degrees. You right? Part of 500 degrees.
Yeah. But for the new viewers, like I'm so tired of this whole thing where they look at New York as just purely lyrical rappers, and everybody's like, "Oh, we're not trying to hear all that lyrical miracle. What you're trying to kick knowledge shit." You know what I mean? But then Wayne comes to New York, takes his style, brings it down there, and all of a sudden he's the GOAT. Like, yeah. Y'all want it both ways. Y'all don't want the lyrical miracle shit unless it's your guy doing the lyrical miracle shit, and all of a sudden he's the best one to ever do the lyrical shit ever. Get the fuck out of here.
I have and this may be New York bias, and excuse me if it's taking us too far left. Y'all just get me back into it. But I will say this: now that you mentioned that Lil Wayne and Job mentioned the Lil Wayne New York point, Wayne went to New York and basically upgraded himself, right? We can admit that. Ross really popped off when he got around Puff. I know y'all calling him a diddler now, you know what I mean? But for like hustling to like, 2010 was a certain Ross. After he got that, he around New York niggas, he got a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. As far as the bar work and the album work. Same thing with Jeezy. Jeezy came out and was in the middle of Harlem in his first video, bro. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Hey, South, we respect us, please. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to cause problems, but y'all best rappers kind of needed that New York, swag to get right.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. And like at the end of the day, with me, I'm always about being consistent and keeping the same energy. You know what I mean? Like if us and the South are gonna keep going back and forth about like what music should sound like, what things should sonically be like, you know what I mean? What's important, what we value, that's fine. But you can't in one breath tell us, you know what I mean, nobody wants to hear all of that lyrical shit, and then in the next breath tell us, yo, Wayne is the best lyricist of all time. So if that's the case, then you do value lyricism. You know what I mean? You can't keep pretending that you don't when what you're trying to tell us is that your guy is the best at doing the thing that you say you don't care about. Come on now. Tired of it, man.
It's I think it's always, to me, more of a fan thing, right? Because just like we saying, like the Southern rappers show love to the New York rappers. Like they come down here, it's like rappers look at New York rappers, maybe not for their style, or maybe not, even though Wayne did start dressing like Dipset, but maybe not for their style or this, that, and the third. But when they think about prototypical rappers, they're looking at New York rappers. You know what I mean? Wayne got J tatted on his thigh. And I don't want to make this a New York Southern argument, but just, the proof is in the pudding there. You know what I mean? Now
we always get that.
Right. Come on now. Let's be honest. But with Wayne specifically, that with all of this regionality talk and all of this stylistic talk, to bring it back to Lil Wayne now, like what, it don't seem like he's grabbing from any region. You know what I mean? It don't sound like stylistically. I don't know who he sounds like. Like you mentioned, the Jelly Roll song is my favorite song as well, which is saying something, right? Because Big Sean had the best verse on there. And it's Jelly Roll. I'm like, I didn't know like Jelly Roll had hooks.
I didn't have that in my bingo card at all.
Yeah, and even y'all didn't, and understandably, Band from NO. I feel like the thought there was perfect, right? The Band from TV beat mixed with some New Orleans flavor. I feel like 2008 Wayne would have bodied that shit. You know what I mean? But then he spits the same verse 2 times in a row. It's that if somebody could tell me what is the redeemable music on here?
And didn't he spit Nori's verse verbatim? Yes. Verbatim. Word for word. Like, why?
Tennessee straight with tomato juice, bro.
That shit was whack when Nori said it.
It was whack. Nori had. I was like, why do you quote Nature, bro? Nori had the worst verse on the song, bro. Give me some Spreewell bars or some shit, bro. This shit was insane. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. And as a Wayne fan, I'm not, I'm not even looking at it as, some sort of whatever, but I'm very disappointed, bro. I'm extremely disappointed. Wayne fans, I know there's a few of them in the chat. Is there any song on this album that you feel like makes Wayne top 100 songs ever, 150 songs ever, 200 songs ever? What's the song on here that you're going to be bumping for the rest of the year? Let me know.
That's a good ass question.
I wish Deanie would say. Deanie would have flamed them up to the most. I see Deanie in the chat. What up, my boy?
That's a fact. The one sliver of bail that I'll throw Wayne on for this album. Written History at the end.
I like Written History.
Decent song,
Yeah.
but also a song that actually finally has him, I don't know, not necessarily introspective, but at least talking about something. The something is himself,
Rapping like a human being, right?
right? But like, yeah, exactly. Like he's actually, you know what I mean, letting us in a little bit into like his thought process and what, you know, shit that he thinks about. And what he actually says on that song is that, like, you know, essentially, like, I really don't give a fuck. I'm just me being me. You know what I mean? And that's ultimately a good message, you know what I mean, to take away. And after, you know, hearing this album, it almost sounds like he heard the album all the way back, songs 1 through 18, and he was like, damn, this is some bullshit, man. I'm gonna have to like explain this away somehow. And then song 19 is like, hey, listen, I'm just being me, guys. Like, I'm cool with me. I'm comfortable in my skin. I can't be nobody else but me, guys. That's all I can be. You know what I mean? So I found that interesting. That was a decent song and a decent message, but like, it also sounded like he was like a bit of a cop out, knowing what the rest of the album sounded like.
And you, thanks for even bringing that up. Saying you that's another point I wanted to make. There's something about like that's an artist, a artist style, right? There are those artists who, you know, I don't give a fuck about nothing. You know what I mean? I don't listen to nobody but me. This is, you know what I mean? Like those artists, when they're out of their primes, it's hard for the artists that don't listen to nobody and don't take no advice and don't compete with other artists. They just in their own world. They have a difficult time out of their prime. Do y'all remember hearing, you know, a DMX album in 2008? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain artists that they live that rock star lifestyle, pushing it to the edge, shit that make us love them. You know what I mean? But then when they kind of get on the other side where the drugs start to affect them and the health starts to deteriorate and they themselves are not as turned up, so they're not getting, you know, the hottest producers and the hottest people sending them the best shit, they have trouble when they get out of that. You know what I mean? And you know, Lil Wayne said, come on. It's been, what did y'all say, 12 projects? Y'all didn't even mention all of the projects. I'm happy. There might be like 15. There was something missing off that list, bro. The Fix Before the Six. Remember that? That was his shit before this. That wasn't on there. That was garbage too. The 2 Chainz collaboration album, that wasn't on here neither. I wasn't a fan, you know.
Quick question though. I see Job coming back in, but quick question for you, Mace, as being the OVO YMCMB guy. Like, beyond just Wayne, where do you see? How do you see this affecting YMCMB's overall stature and
well, then,
you know, hold on the game?
It's reckless speculation time, right? Because despite Drake having Lil Wayne as his main picture on Instagram, there's no Lil Wayne album post. There's nothing on the story about Lil Wayne. It's not even a mention, not even a random tweet, not even a comment in somebody else's shit, right? Same with Nicki, right? Nicki carried on for 2 weeks, calling Jay-Z and Elliott Wilson everything but they government names.
The most performative outrage I've ever seen, because where's she at now with the album?
Now the album's out. She's not on it. She don't post it. She don't have nothing to say about the album. So I'm very intrigued by this YMCMB situation. Even Birdman and Wayne ain't rocking with each other right now, right? I'm very intrigued. And listen, y'all know I'm no Jigger Man fan, okay? I'm not. But it's very telling that on, you know, I don't want to say on that side, because, you know, but with somebody like that, right, that there was an infrastructure set up and a system set up that the artists can have some place to go to broadcast their shit, to all convene together. Like, just, it seemed like there's no type of, you know, I know they under Universal, so Lucian is all them niggas daddy at the end of the day, but it don't seem like there was any type of anything set up when they got to this point in their careers, right? You're not going to be hot forever. So, you know, it would have been nice for Birdman or Slim or one of them to have set up some type of place where Wayne can still put out the shit he likes, not some shit that he thinks is going to sell, right? You know, it would have been nice for them to have some place for Drake to say, well, this is my team. You know what I mean? Y'all shitting on me, but I still got my niggas. You know what I mean? There was none, right? And Nicki, every time Nicki get into some trouble, it seemed like she out there by herself, her and her, you know, redacted husband. You know what I mean? It seemed like, you know, they always got some shit going on. So that's a fantastic point, Sin. It seems like on the YMCMB side, despite all the popularity, all the sales, all the fandom still to this day, because still about all three of them, somebody get in your replies and call you something crazy about all of them. So despite all of that, they don't have the business infrastructure to really be able to do things the way they want and have the security that they're supposed to have as artists.
You know, real quick, I spilled my beverage. That's why I had to dip off. I'm pissed. I made a quality beverage, and I spilled. and the irony is, I was starting to shake it, and I was like, "Oh shit, let me not shake it because everybody can hear when I shake the ice or whatever." So I'm trying to be a good podcaster. I just knocked my whole cup over. So I had to dip off for a second. I lost about 75% of that bev, bro. Word to the curry, but I don't know. Where we left it off was before I had to dip out to clean up the beverage. Was a situation where Wayne might be overrated. I see that Macito's done a quality job of trying to defend this guy, but I mean the facts are what they are, right? But beyond that, the question that I have now, going back to the album, is it really this bad? Are people being overly harsh because it's Wayne, or is it flat out this album isn't good? Sincere the Rap Star, coming to you, followed by Messi.
It's not. And again, I started off thinking with the first few songs, I was like, oh, maybe they are being overly harsh. But once that album gets into its stride, man, that's a steep downhill stride that it has, man. This album is atrocious, not just by, you know, Lil Wayne standards or by, you know, this quote unquote GOAT standards. It's just objectively just really, really bad, man.
Ooh, objectively bad. Mesito, are we being too harsh, or is it as bad as they say it is?
We're not being too harsh. You know, I as bad as they hashtag hey, they say a lot, but they telling the truth this time. Sin mentioned feeling like he was kind of feeling it until he got the Sharks. Sharks was like the first good song I heard on there.
Damn.
Band from NO, I thought was decent, and then I wasn't feeling anything to Written History, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's 3 songs. Flex Up. I like Flex Up. There's 4 songs on here that I think are decent. And Job, I mentioned earlier, I don't think any of them make like, you know, Wayne's, you know, if they got a 100-song playlist where they throwing out Wayne jams, I don't think any of these songs make it. You know what I mean? Even past their prime, you know what I mean? There's like Speechless off of Magic to me makes 100 Nas list. You know what I mean? Story of OJ makes 100 Jay-Z list for me. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing on here that even approaches it. And I listened to it a bunch of times. I tried to analyze, you know, shit, but it's bad, bro. It's really bad. The haters are right this time.
Damn. And that's tough. When, you know, and you know what? I thought this was a great opportunity because even academics fed, because there was a lot of misinformation ahead of the release of this project as far as like a track list goes, and academics jumped all over that. And apparently it was going to be a Drake and a Wayne feature. I was Drake and a Nicki Minaj feature, and he thought they were going to be coming after Kendrick. I will say that I think this is a massive missed opportunity, because even if, and I stand 100% by that Wayne thrived in the dead bar era, coming out of what Kendrick has done as far as adjusting the taste of the public. And you know what? I even realized it too, Macito, as the person who looks into the young rap, TikTok as well has impacted the music, because it's not just bullshit that comes out of TikTok. A lot of these younger kids in this era, they challenge and they question a lot of shit more so than the generation or the era before them. So that's also impacting why certain artists just can't get off anymore, because like the kids now are looking for very specific things in their rap music. Like there's certain kids who's very specifically looking for drill, very specifically looking for some type of bars, or like emo rap, or like emotional lyrical rap, the fucking the Rod Wave energy with that type of shit as well. So I felt like now with Kendrick being able to impact the taste of multi generations, Wayne being arguably the first big full-time rapper to drop since this battle, because Drake is not a full-time rapper. I'm not saying anything out of bounds, and I think he missed a major opportunity to be a part of that conversation again with a quality project. 19 tracks is kind of OD. Like, let's say now he would have just dropped, because all of the songs that we kind of semi agree on, if that was like a 10-track project, Carter 6 is a banger. I mean, I know if it was a 50 yeah, drunk, but it wouldn't be so slanderous. At the very least, we'd be arguing about how good it is, as opposed to universally agreeing this album is ass. Right. Like, I felt like he's missing the opportunity. The next thing I'll say with the Sonics is, Sin talked about it when Wayne was taking off. He was able to take his southern drawl, that sound, because 50 was a first like real initial linchpin to that, like using that bit of a southern drawl but rhyming in the New York cadence. That shit was cocaine to niggas like us, because we never heard nothing like that. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? The closest thing we had heard to something like that was like Outkast, or like a couple of the other Dungeon Family homies, but they weren't as lyrical. Like, I would say Outkast, CeeLo was in that conversation as well. Like, CeeLo was nice. Niggas might not remember, but CeeLo was nice back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rest of Goody Mob, not as much. But CeeLo, there's a reason why CeeLo was the breakout star of that group. But for the most part, we had not heard a southern accent with a New York cadence. So, like, I feel like Wayne being able to do that, but then the production, his sound, like, once he broke away from the Dipset era and he got back with the Cash Money wave, his production alongside the way he was rhyming and the accent, it was ear candy. I'm willing to give some grace. And I'm wondering now if maybe he needs to get back to that sound. Because I think as rap gets more back into a regional essence, I listen to this album, like, I don't know what this album is. I don't, like, if I just came from fucking Mars and I'm listening to Lil Wayne, I don't know where he's from. I wouldn't know he's a New Orleans rapper on this project, with the exception if he talks about it. But I'm just saying, sonically, you're not taking me to New Orleans or no part of the South with this project. I don't know what this project is supposed to be. I feel like he should get back in that bag that worked many moons ago as we get back into the region. Get with Manny Fresh. Manny Fresh was like fine-tuning, and a few other producers were fine-tuning a way for him to rhyme in a certain cadence while staying authentic to New Orleans. And I think if he could get back in that with that BPM, that bounce, because he is a legacy artist, he don't have to keep up with the times anymore. He's little fucking Wayne. If it's good, the Wayne fans will show up and support it. I mean, fuck, his first week might go crazy anyway. It's Lil Wayne.
I think he's like 140, they saying. Which is in this climate is
a big number.
It's a huge number, right?
You know what I'm saying? So he don't even have to go crazy and try to keep up with the trends. To me, get back in that bag that made you hot in the first place. Like, I was at work doing a rejoin music, and I went back to Neck of the Woods, and I'm like, could you imagine the Wayne's dropped the Neck of the Woods type vibes now, or something like My Daddy kind of bounce right now, where as niggas is getting back into their regional shit? Like, that would go crazy. Or whatever the New Orleans sound is, when you listen to like a Young Boy or whatever, get in that bag. Drop a little EP. Go to New Orleans for a week. You know what I'm saying? Get your security up. Because I don't know what it is. You know how it goes. Wayne might be sanctioned in New Orleans, but when you really rich and really famous, there's always that one guy that feels a way that you came back to the block. You know how it goes.
Yeah. But
get back around your people and feel what like the shit sound like in your city, and try that shit. And I think it might go crazier than making a regionalist album where you singing on one track, you rhyming on one track. Like you have a vibeless album. You have no real cohesion. And that this album is suffering because of that.
All of a sudden you get rock guitars out of nowhere at the end of a song. Like,
this album is a mushroom trip in the worst kind of way.
Remember at the point that rap was in, there used to be a point, right? I call it the what's the violin player's name? If I say a name wrong, tell me. It's in the Miri Ben Ari era. Remember that era where it was like, if a rapper does something that's out of the box, niggas like it automatically, even if it's trash. That's what the Bono feature is. That's what the Andrea Bocelli feature is. Like, his whole mind state is stuck in a nigga from 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
You notice when Hov tried to get with Chris Martin on motherfucking Kingdom Come. We ever heard Chris Martin on the Jay-Z album again? I don't remember. Again. All right. Do what works. Is the point.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, and the thing is, Kanye used to be the cheat code for that. Yeah, you would be able to make the most hip hop album and trust him to do some different shit to make it all come together. For instance, Overnight Celebrity with Twista. It was still Twista doing Twista things, but the beat, we never heard nothing like that before. So Kanye was taking the artistic risk while you brought your lyrical ability to the table and he was making like fire. You know what I'm saying? Who's the producer doing that now? I don't know if he exists. Shit, nigga, go get with Metro. Metro on Twitter trying to get WWE to let him make entrance music. Metro don't got shit to do. Metro rich as fuck. Well, then again, he can't give a Metro because of the Drake politics.
Damn. I see what you're saying.
Who the other nigga? Not Metro. Who's the other guy like?
Murder Bees, Southside.
Nah. Keep going.
But Job, I see where you going, right?
Zaytoven.
Oh, Zaytoven. Facts. Shout to Zay. Shout to Sin for being the one who got that. Super producer. You understand? Job, yeah. I understand where you coming from. Go back to your southern roots. Go back
DJ
to
Esco.
The go back to your people. Go back to your region. But Job, we just spent like 10-15 minutes saying Wayne got hot and got at his nicest when what? He got with New York in his set. Who's repping New York these days? That's who we need to get with and to create an album. You feel what I'm saying? West Side and all of them, you heard?
What a West Side Gun curated Wayne album might go crazy.
I'm with it. He went to New York in 2006 and got his shit right. He need to do it again in 2026. You heard?
Wow.
There might be some. I don't know.
Big Dog. He was rhyming on Big Dog.
He bodied Big Dog.
Yeah, he did. That's a fact.
Matter of fact, we got a hot take in the chat. I usually don't highlight these, but the good takes. KJ says, "I'm sorry. I'm from Louisiana. Wayne control a nuclear bomb right now. We still consider it garbage. Wayne is not a GOAT here in Louisiana."
Wow,
sir.
Damn.
Really?
That's interesting.
That's crazy.
Well, goddamn.
That's interesting.
Okay. Anybody else from New Orleans? Is anyone else from New Orleans or Louisiana in this chat that can confirm or deny that hot take? Because that was slander. Real quick before we start wrapping up. I saw something. A couple things I want to talk to on the industry side with Mesito and Sin. Hit the like button if you haven't by now. Hit the like button. We got about 500 plus in here. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe option. Hit the notification bell. I hope that y'all been hitting that like button without me having to tell y'all. The like button is very, very important. The comments is cool too. We love when y'all tell us off or agree to disagree. But hit the like button, please. Even if you don't like us, hit the like button. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, it goes back. Shout out to the Real Humans. Thank you, Matt Likes Hip Hop. Shout out to all the Real Humans in this chat. Week in and week out, the Real Humans pop out. Anyway, so I'm trying to behave. Pusha T talked about essentially buying himself out of that contract alongside the Clips project on Def Jam. Mm-hmm. Does that set a new precedent for hip hop? Because I've never heard that bit before. I've heard guys fight their way off of contracts, but I've never heard an artist say, "I'm buying myself out of the contract." What the hell is that about? Like, are we now really in this new era where artists really control the market? Is that a slippery slope? Is that a new precedent, or is it just a situation of if you can't afford to do so, you can. If not, you got to eat shit. Let me know.
Shit.
I have heard that before. I think across my travels, I remember hearing that Jay-Z bought himself out of one of his record deals. Couple more artists that I haven't heard, but I've heard to that referred before, where they got maybe an album or two left on a deal, and they just obviously it has to be an artist that has a large amount of capital, right? So it's not a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think that it's happened recently, but I do remember hearing, through my just informational gathering, you know what I'm saying? I've heard maybe Jay and a couple more people have done it before. Maybe some Southern acts, if I'm correct.
What do you think about that precedent, Sam?
I think it's a major flex for somebody that can't do it. Unfortunately, not as we just as Mace just mentioned, like not all artists will be in that position to be able to pull that move off. But beyond that, I think it might be a message. You know what I mean? Some type of message that Push is trying to send to the industry, and specifically probably, a little sub to Drake as well. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't happy with my deal. I was able to buy myself out. You're not happy with your deal, but you're still there. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of thing. I think, I don't see it becoming like a trend or anything like that, but for somebody like Pusha T, because a lot of times the conversation when it strays towards the numbers and people start saying, well, Pusha don't sell like that, Clips didn't sell like that, but he's letting he's still, he still got the cash, he still got the capital to be able to pull a move like this. So I think it's a big message that he's trying to send.
I agree too, and we know the Jay-Z of it all. To me, the tinfoil theory cap, where I feel like, yeah, he bought himself out of the deal, but I feel like it's either he was liquid enough, pause, in order to do that, or he just got a loan from Hove, and like Hove won't take the credit publicly, but the Jigga Man paid to buy that out, but he's given the power of a quote, the power or the look to the Clips, because it's no surprise to me. Him going to Roc Nation tells me that Roc Nation either fronted the money or he got that money right back after he paid it off. One or the other, Roc Nation make sure to cover the bill. The next thing that I noticed, it was a young lady, I forget her name. I think I sent this to Macito. Let me see if I still have the link. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me be a bad podcaster for a second, but I think we've earned enough equity. Her name is Sarah 2 Ill. She's on Twitter. I mean, on YouTube, nearly 100K subs. So she's not a nobody. In the midst of the Timberland getting a lot of pushback from his peers about the AI thing, she mentioned that essentially it felt like part of him agreeing to do this was a bit of a distraction from bigger things happening in the music industry. And the thing that she referenced was there's a law going around to it that's going to impact streaming, and it'll be like more like dollars going into the artist's pocket, like a situation where it'll be 1 cent per stream. And New York City voted yes in favor of that. So independent artists are going to be able to like make more bread. 1 cent a stream. If you run the streams, that's a lot of bread. Macito, I don't know how closely you've been following that. Can you add anything to that situation?
No, listen, y'all. I haven't done the proper research. You actually put me onto this one, but it sound from what she was saying, from what the shorty was saying, it sounds groundbreaking, right? And I'm not generally one of those, they're doing this to distract you from this, because I can pay attention to two things at a time. But I understand where she's coming from, right? So I don't want to go out there and say anything that I don't know, but if this is what she's saying, up in the prices per stream, up in the prices for independent artists specifically, this can't be nothing but a good thing. Listen, when we get to the business of it all, I'll make sure I have more for y'all to chew into about the topic. But Timbo, it's interesting, right? Because Timbo's doing the exact opposite, right? They're giving you artists with AI and giving you artists, that don't exist, while on the other end, artists are fighting for their rights, fighting for their money, fighting for their equity. You know what I mean? So it's a very interesting battle. And Timbo, as much as I love you, you're not on the right side of this argument right now.
At all.
Sin, how do you feel about the idea of getting 1 cent a stream? That's people don't get it. Just do a quick math. If you get 1 million streams, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's
that's $1 billion.
Well, 1 cent sounds like dirt. You know what I mean? Until you realize what they're currently getting paid, which is like 100th of a cent per stream or something like that. You know what I mean? It depends on what
they do right now, Sin, is that they take all of the streaming money, like all of the streams, right? They all combine it together, and depending on how much of your market share is, they dole it out like that. That's how the streaming services do it right now. So they collect all of that money off from you every month. They take your $10, all the record labels combined it, and Universal says, I own this much of the market share, we getting that much. Atlantic says, I own this much of the market share, I'm getting this much. Before it even gets doled out to the artists, you know what I mean? Everybody touching that money before they get it, you know?
Yikes. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Yeah, I mean, when we drop 125, you know what I mean, we're definitely going to be talking about Timbo at some point in the episode, later on in the episode. And you know, I have a lot of thoughts about it. I don't want to step on episode 125, but yeah, Tim is definitely on the wrong side of this, and I'm wondering like who he's partnered with, who's behind him, who's backing this endeavor of his, because it definitely seems like this is a major piece of the puzzle. This news that they're trying to raise the amount that artists get per stream, and then all of a sudden somebody like a Timbaland is looking to, you know, is on the open saying, hey, we're going to create AI artists now. Yeah, that definitely seems like, you know, very counterproductive to what a lot of people are trying to fight for. So it's like, who's the hidden hand behind this whole AI Timbaland situation? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I hope, you know what I mean? I hope artists keep fighting. Whoever keeps fighting for the artists, I hope they, you know, continue the good fight. Because we've talked about this at length here at the Rap Roundtable. Like, you know, shouts to Job. Like, who the fuck made up this math of how much, you know what I mean, a person gets from a stream, and how many streams, you know, constitutes going gold and going plat. Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So
Crazy.
Yeah, something needs to change there. And Timbaland, with what he's doing, he's on the other side of that fight. He's fighting against the artist, which is fucking insane to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, fuck him for that.
That number is so arbitrary to me. Like, who? Like, it makes no sense. But definitely something to keep an eye on, because I'm very curious about where we go from here with that. If it passes and it gets from state to state, because again, I just did a quick Google. You know, our artists were getting 1 million streams at a percentage of a percent, or a percentage of a cent back in the day. They wasn't seeing no bread. At 1 cent a stream, you're looking at a situation where you could get 10 racks if you get 1 million streams. Yeah. Imagine, 10 racks might not seem like much to the average person in the music business, but going from a tenth of a cent to a full cent per stream, a guy like a Rome Streets or a guy like a Ransom who has real fans who run streams up, nigga, that adds up. You know what I mean? Big. So I wanted to throw that y'all way before we wrapped it, because I was like, I thought that's interesting. One guy buying himself out of a record deal. You don't hear about that on a major label. I see people in the chat mentioning like Jive and I think Future bought himself out of the Rocco deal. Like, we talking about Def Jam. Major labels usually don't let you buy shit. It's not even an option. Like, nah, they'd rather you collect us. They let you buy yourself out of a deal. But anyway, we got the super chats to get to. And we're gonna get up out of here. Again, 125 drops this Wednesday. 125 drops this Wednesday. Look out for that. Jermaine L. Johnson had a super chat before we even went live. He says, Wayne is elite, but also a historically lazy writer. Always sounds great, but far too often not saying anything cohesive. Just a bunch of words that rhyme. That's not good enough for a GOAT conversation. And that's interesting, because Mickey Fax was on Twitter and he mentioned that. He was like, he was saying a lot of things, but he wasn't saying anything. And I was like, for Mickey Fax to highlight that, I thought was very interesting, because he's a lyricist. He would know. And that's a gripe I've had for years. I feel like Wayne just gets off on these metaphors and similes, but he don't really be saying nothing. Shit don't ever be cohesive. You know what I mean?
And the thing is, yeah, my bad. And the thing is, Mason and I was also talking about this after we recorded. Like, there's part, like, on some level, we all kind of love the like stream of consciousness, non sequitur bars. You know what I mean? But it can't be the only bag that you go to. It can't be the only thing. You gotta be a little bit more well-rounded.
Because Ghostface will give you non sequitur, but then he give you all I want is you, right?
Exactly.
You're right, man. You're right.
But even with the non sequitur, there's always threads that make it all come together. Like, it's performatively non sequitur a lot of times with the nicest niggas. I don't know. Yeah. Wayne used to just be like, but then again, Wayne, he did have his era. What's in my cup is in my cup. So maybe that worked for him. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
We got another super chat. Black Ken says, I never saw what people saw in Wayne. Still don't. I won't go that far. I like Lil Wayne. The GOAT talk always lost me. And it still
My boy
loses
got
me.
a Lil B Abby saying
Come
he
on,
never
bro.
saw what people.
Come on,
Shout out to
bro.
Lil B. Shout out to the bass guy. You heard?
Shout out to the bass guy. I don't want to get cursed. You know what I mean? Dre Gott says ninjas act like Birdman, SB like Dre, Big Thomas still fly back that ass up a Millie God's playing Nicky Star Shift Soldier Slim from Slow Mo. Yeah, I mean, there's an audience for everything. The homie Zig pulled up says, I like when the pussy is deep dish and when it goes squish, squish, squish. Fuck out of here. Shaking my head 3 tracks in and I was done. Not listening to the rest of the album. Damn.
I heard that boy and I said, damn.
Ariel Smoke says the album was trash. Like, why you always gotta take this route, Ariel? Come on, bro. G Rosario says, as a Wayne fan, I was dreading this discussion. I'm sorry, G. Ariel Smoke says Wayne.
Imagine how Mace feels right now.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
Mace did I. You know what I mean? He did I ain't gonna lie. Wayne would have passed out at the 20-yard line. I guess he was referring to something that we were talking about mid-conversation. Oh, the Super Bowl. You're right. Yes. Just throw Wayne in just throw Wayne in the giant double cup of lean. Damn.
Ariel Smoke was firing him up.
Wayne surrounded by people that just want to smoke for free. Damn, y'all killing this guy.
Yeah, Wayne, that shit is hot. Patch that.
Dre God says the Carter 1 through 4, no skips. Wayne to go. I don't know about no skips, bro. You dragging
No
it.
skips is kind of crazy.
BTG says the Carter 6 versus Shaq and the Celtics in the uniform. And it's Shaq in the Celtics uniform. Shaq in 5. Damn.
Sheesh.
Shaq
Reggie with a
play
$20 holler says, I blame Sincere the rap snob for this catastrophe. The next time Wayne calls, stop being petty and pick up the phone. Damn.
Please. Slide Wayne a beat, please, son. Because this shit he's rapped over in it, bro.
Shit, let me A&R Wayne that's out. Let's send
You
dude
right.
Let me A&R the shit. Fuck it. It'd be a classic. Cam Porter says Wayne's best years was 05 through 09. I can see that. I can definitely see that.
That's Pete.
The homie Mike H with a $10 house for the love. Mike H, you already know what it is, bro. Cam Porter says, I'm in Texas and used to have to debate clowns that Wayne isn't on Jay-Z's level all 4 years through high school. Thank you for dedicating a lot of energy and a lot of stress during your 4 years of high school.
Nice.
Cam Porter says YMCMB been full of cosplay MCs over Cynthia Beats. Get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow. What you say fuck me for?
Not slander.
Cam Porter says Hov would never do a song with MGK shaking my head. You right, but Hov has done songs with niggas we probably would have never guessed either. So
yeah.
Lollipop success. Cam Porter says Lollipop success was the beginning of the end for Wayne. Very true in a lot of ways.
Interesting perspective.
Bailerism BTG says Lollipops and cop cars, alien bars. Oof. Cam Porter says T.I. was lyrically nicer than Wayne in their prime. I don't know about that.
I don't know, but I'll be willing. Listen, T.I. ain't no slouch. I'm a Wayne guy. But T.I. ain't no fucking slouch. I'm gonna tell you.
I don't know about nicer, but I think he had better raps and better songs.
Yeah, and Wayne pushed T.I. out the way when T.I. was really trying to run everything. You know, Wayne just came and said, "Move out the way."
Yeah.
Cam Porter says Wayne was always mostly flow. He stepped at the ball work around 05, but never been an elite lyricist. If you know, you know. That's a fact.
Is Cam Porter Jarvis Burner? What the fuck?
Might be. Cam Porter says, I see Jim Jones getting called the oldest YN in the game often. What about Wayne? Wayne is the oldest skater boy. Remember, he's still on that skater shit. You know what I mean?
Wayne is an old dope fiend, man.
Right. BTG says Wayne recorded that album on a Dreamcast. All right, Baylor.
Come on, bro.
Jermaine L. Johnson says, for a 2-man FO front office with your 14-year-old son, I'm not talking about Wayne's kid. I ain't gonna LeBron him.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
Good.
Reggie says Wayne needs to question some of the people in his inner circle who allowed him to release this many subpar tracks. Points were made. And last but not least, Reggie says Wayne needs to take a shot at Rayvon. I'll leave Rayvon alone. He's out of
Rayvon is in shape right now.
You know what I mean? Fact, he is in shape. I'll give him that. Rayvon a crash out. He might say all the things we're talking about in this pod in the rap. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Anyway,
call him out his name for real.
This live was a success. Shout out to everybody who pulled up. If you haven't by now, hit the like button. Run those likes up. Shout out to Dini who couldn't make it with us tonight. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to all the super chats. Episode 125. 125 is on the way this Wednesday. Make sure you lock in for 125. Hell of an episode. No Dini to balance tonight. So Sincere Rap Snob, take us home.
Yo, for Jaw the point guard, Mesito, voice of everything, Sincere the Rap Snob, run the likes up, run the subs up, run the comments up, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. This is the Rap Round Table, and we are the fuck out of here.
Salute.
Salute.